Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. What do you think about my new photo booth? Well, it's on loan to me from Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport, just as this 2020 A220 is also on loan to me from my friends here at the dealership. But I have to give a special shout out to the general manager, Luke. I put a post on Facebook. We are just having brutal heat, as a lot of the country is here in the U.S. right now, and probably a lot of places around the world as well. And obviously that makes shooting videos and creating content for all of you a little more challenging. Well, now that this opportunity is available here to use this photo booth here at the dealership, we're probably going to see a lot more content coming from Vehicle Visionary. Stay tuned for that, guys. I appreciate your support. Now, I have to issue a quick little apology to one of my subscribers because he asked me to do videos that featured the A-Class Mercedes models. Now, the only ones available here at the dealership are these 220s, and this just happened to be the one I pulled from the inventory. So it's all I've got to look at, but we're going to take a good close look at it. But I want to apologize to my friend and supporter who requested that. I'm sorry it took a little while to get to this, but as more A-Class Mercedes come into the dealership here, you can be guaranteed we're going to take a look at it. So let's talk a little bit about this mountain gray metallic 2020 Mercedes A220. If you're looking for a vehicle that is a very nice balance of comfort and performance, it has the most advanced infotainment system in the industry available here in the interior. And if you've watched previous Mercedes videos here on the Vehicle Visionary channel, if you've noticed that it's typically not a touchscreen, got good news for you guys. If you're looking for a Mercedes that has a true touch screen, this is definitely something you might want to consider because that's what it has. It does have the same trackpad that a lot of the other models have, so depending on what your preferences are, you can do either or. And we'll take a good close look at the infotainment system when we do our interior tour shortly. And if you're looking for a vehicle that has a nice, comfortable interior filled with premium materials, this is definitely it. And with the price tag of just a tick over $42,000, if you're looking to get into a Mercedes model and not necessarily spend an outrageous amount of money, or that's just where you want to start, this is definitely something you should consider. Okay guys, let's start with our exterior tour here. You do have LED headlights and LED taillights on the rear of the A220. Also daytime running lights here. Nice to be able to see those. We're not dealing with the glare of the sun, so you can definitely see that. And like I talked about before in previous videos, here's how Mercedes designs these cars to attract your attention from literally the bottom of the front bumper here all the way over the car. That's why you have a black grille here and then the diamond grille featuring the Mercedes logo here in the middle on the top of that lower grille, the upper grille I should say. And that is actually meant to attract the eye and keep it just going all the way over the car. That's why you have all the lines you do here. And like I said, for a vehicle that costs a little bit over $40,000, the lines on the A220 are impressive. And that's why you see the different lines over the hood, a little bit of a large contour in the middle, and the lines on the outside that just kind of flow onto the fenders and really give it an eye-catching, racy look. A very, very nice vehicle. And as you work your way over, of course, you're going to find the power folding side view mirrors. You're going to find a panoramic sunroof that is retractable, so you can open that if you wish to. And that's a pretty large panoramic roof. And again, keep in mind, guys, for the price point, that's really impressive for any vehicle. Now, as we continue our tour here, you're going to notice, of course, all the great lines on the top and bottom of the vehicle here on the doors and coming from the front fenders onto the doors, and the lower trim as well. The nice body lines here that just give it a nice racy look. Chrome door handles, black trim, black mirrors, and the nicely tinted windows. And to really set that off, you have the AMG 18-inch 5-spoke black wheels that I think are just part of the perfect color combination of this car between the mountain gray metallic and the black trim along with those wheels. And of course, there is a litany of safety features that I'll list on the screen right now so you know what all of those are. And if you want to know some of the details about this particular car that I don't necessarily talk about in the video, there's a link in the description to Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport's website, and you can take an even better look at this 2020 A220. And of course you have the LED tail lights that I mentioned earlier that start here pretty far forward into the rear quarter panels and wrap around, of course, onto the rear of the trunk right here, giving it a really nice complete look, following the body lines and continuing that sporty look. And as we open the trunk, let's talk a little bit about cargo space. With the rear seats in their upright position, your cargo space is 8.6 cubic feet. But if you wish to maximize that, you can lower the rear seats, and there are handles inside the trunk here. I'm showing you those on the screen so that you don't go looking for those on the interior. They're not on the rear seats themselves. There's one on each side of the trunk here. And when you lower those rear seats, you're going to maximize your cargo space to 14.83 cubic feet. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about the back seat and what you can expect to find back here. Now, I am kind of sitting down just a little bit. You can see I don't necessarily have a ton of headroom, but at 5'10", I would be fairly comfortable back here. Of course, depending on who's driving, the seat might be a little further forward, or the passenger seat might be a little bit further forward as well. So back here you do have dual air conditioning vents, and if you're looking around and saying, I don't see any USB ports, you haven't mentioned that yet. There are two here. You're just going to open up what looks like an ashtray. There's not any cigarette lighter or anything like that here, but I guess that could be used for such if you wish. But there are two USB ports concealed inside this little compartment right here. So you do have that one for each person back here. If you have three, well, I guess I'll just be fighting over who uses what under those dual air conditioning vents. And there are door pockets back here. You've got the rear storage, the little pockets that are basically nets here on the back of the seats. And if you're looking for cup holders, you bring down the armrest here in the center. Well, there are two cup holders. They're just concealed away right there. And so that's definitely going to be nice. And they actually open up fairly large. It looks like you could put something a little bit larger in there than just your average size water bottle or whatever you may be drinking out of. So a nice feature there. But as you can see, it does seem to be very comfortable back here. I have a reasonable amount of space. And like I said, that could vary depending on how far forward these seats are or how far back they are, depending on who is in the front seat. Speaking of the front seat, let's climb into the driver's seat and talk about what you're going to find in the A220. Okay guys, as we start our interior tour, I know I've mentioned this in other Mercedes videos, but if you've never watched my Mercedes videos before and never noticed this yourself, here's something very interesting. When it comes to adjusting the power driver or passenger seats here in the front, of course the controls are not on the side of the seats as you might be used to. They're actually located here on the door panels. And how do you know what does what? Well, just look at the design and layout of those buttons. It's actually the seats themselves. They look like the seats. They basically have that overall design, so you know what you're changing. Very, very simple. It's kind of one of those things that once you see it, you'll never be able to unsee it. Now, like I said, you have a lot of very nice high-end materials in the A220. And here's something that might surprise a few people. The steering wheel. It is the AMG steering wheel, complete with steering wheel mounted controls and shifter paddles. We'll talk about the different driving modes here in just a little while. And of course, you have dual zone climate control, several nice air conditioning vents. I like the fact that these are not just traditional looking air conditioning vents in these Mercedes models. They have their own kind of unique look to them, and I just think it's always nice to have something that sets your vehicle apart from all of the other car makers out there. So in my opinion, I think that's very nice. And for those who are maybe used to the Mercedes trackpad, you're not used to having the touch screen, even though we do have one here, you have two different options. You can control the screen by hand, make your selections there, or you can use the trackpad right here that a lot of you may be used to if you currently or have previously owned a modern Mercedes vehicle. just some nice options there depending on what your preferences are. You do have push button start right here, and one thing that is very interesting, something that I think is noteworthy here, while you have the push button start for the engine, right underneath that is the auto stop start feature, and you can turn that off or on depending on what your preferences are. And so something to be mindful of is the fact that that button is right there. So if you want to turn it off and or on, just make sure you don't accidentally hit that and get the opposite of what you want based on its location. Okay guys, as we start our tour here with the infotainment system, of course you have the 10.25-inch screen, which is very nicely laid out, very modern looking. And on the steering wheel, the controls will correspond to each side of the screen. On the left-hand side, you can go through and change the way the instrument cluster looks, go through a lot of information and details. So much there that I don't think I'm going to take the time to go through every single little thing, but as you can see, you can change every single section, and there's a lot of great information there to go through. And on the right hand side, you have on the steering wheel itself, you have actually 3 different options for controlling the infotainment screen itself. On the right hand side, just above those 3 air conditioning vents, I'm doing that with the steering wheel mounted controls, and depending on what you want to do or look at, you just use basically the little trackpad here in the middle, and when you're ready to select something, you push on that. Now you can also use the trackpad in the center of the console, which is what I'm doing right there, or you can select it by hand. Like I said before, this is a touch screen, so you can actually go through and swipe your way around and make selections. And of course, as you can see, I'll go through everything here without my finger being in the way. That way it's a little bit easier for you. But as you can see, there are multiple places you can go depending on what you want to do and what you want to select or configure depending on the situation. And of course, there is so much here. You can change the settings on the seats, info about the vehicle itself. You can go through and really, I don't have the engine running right now, so I can't show you everything there, but I do have other videos where I've covered that. But let's go back here, and we'll go all the way over here to vehicle. And of course, you have dynamic select. So obviously you can make changes to how the vehicle drives depending on what you want. But let's go up here and make another selection. So I'm going to go back, keep going back here, and we will go up here to lighting. And let's take a look at what's available here. Of course, you have the exterior lights, and we looked at that earlier with those projection lights on the outside for the logo coming off when you open the doors. And of course, the exterior lighting display, you can change that. You can also change your daytime running lights or the locator lights. But let's take a look at the ambient lighting. You can change the brightness to whatever you want that to be, and that's actually, here's where using the touch screen comes in nice and handy. You can go all the way up on that, and that's what we're going to do here, because when it comes to choosing the colors, and I'm going to be able to give you a better look from some footage I shot earlier, you have a total of 64 different colors you can select, and you can pretty much just move your way around on the screen here. It's probably the easiest way to do it by hand, just using your finger to navigate your way around through the different colors, and depending on what you want, you can make your selection. So a lot of ways to individualize your A220 depending on what you want, what kind of mood maybe you're in, or what kind of mood you want to set for your passengers. Okay guys, how about a different test drive route, taking you through somewhere in Shreveport, Louisiana that I haven't taken you through before. And I owe you a bit of an apology. I'm going to make up for it real quick here, but I did not open the hood on the A220 earlier in the video when I normally would. And so I'll put the numbers on the screen as to what kind of horsepower, torque, the transmission that the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder is putting out. And you know, I'm going to step on the pedal a little bit here. For 188 horsepower, That's actually really impressive. It shot up to a pretty decent amount of speed very quickly there. So like I said earlier, you have a nice balance of performance and comfort, and now I have everything set to sport right now, so the ride's a little more stiff than it would be, but part of that also is going to be accentuated by the, I'm going to try and avoid a big bump right there, by the fact that the camera is on a bit of an unstable tripod. So don't let that fool you. Get out and test drive one of these A220s for yourself and see what you think. I know when I picked it up earlier today, it was in sport mode, or excuse me, in comfort mode. And here's a nice little area for testing how everything handles as far as suspension, handling, steering. Very, very impressive. I mean, this is a nice little sporty vehicle, and we're going to just cruise through the corner right here. Absolutely no problem hugging the road whatsoever. A lot of fun to drive. Okay, guys, let's have a little acceleration test here again. You can hear the 2-liter 4-cylinder really working through that 7-speed transmission. Couldn't get through it too much. But like I said, you really have to experience it for yourself. I've had other vehicles I've driven with pretty much the same amount of horsepower, but it all depends on the overall gearing of the vehicle, on how well that works and how it's put to the ground. So I'm curious to hear from you down in the comments, guys. What do you like most about the Mercedes A220? Do you like the fact that it has some AMG lines, the AMG wheels, and some other AMG effects, such as the steering wheel? What color would you like on your A220? And what Mercedes vehicles, or really anything for that matter, would you like to see me feature here on future Vehicle Visionary videos? I'm always open to that, guys. I appreciate your recommendations and your requests and all that kind of stuff. And if I can get into whatever dealership you want me to go to, which I haven't gotten into everything here locally, but I'm working on that. And if you work at a dealership that I haven't been to, tell me in the comments. And if you can help me get my foot in the door there, I would be greatly appreciative of that. I've had a lot of requests for BMWs, for Porsche, for Audi, and I haven't been able to quite get my foot in the door at some of those dealerships yet. We'll keep working on that. But I would like to thank my friends here at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport for their generosity, not only with the loaning of the A220, but the photo booth here. We're going to make a lot more videos here, guys. I'm very thankful for that. And of course, thankful for all of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch. I look forward to seeing all of you in my next video. Have a great day, guys.